in the scorched remnants of a once vibrant field, where flames had mercilessly devoured everything in their path, a lone mother duck lay motionless. Her charred body curled protectively over a clutch of fragile eggs. She could have fled the inferno, saving herself from the agonizing pain, but the unbreakable pull of maternal instinct anchored her in place. As the fire roared closer, she spread her wings like a fragile shield, enduring the blistering heat that seared her feathers and flesh, all for the faint hope that her unborn children might survive. Hello, my dear friends. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're doing well today, wherever you are watching from, whether you're cozied up at home or taking a quiet moment for yourself. If you haven't subscribed yet, I'd truly appreciate it if you could hit that subscribe button. It means the world to me and helps me continue sharing these heartfelt stories with you. Now, let me take you into a story that will touch the deepest corners of your heart. In her final moments, with smoke choking the air and embers raining down, this mother duck clung to her eggs desperately, a silent testament to love's cruel price. She proved that even in the animal kingdom, a parent's devotion can mean giving everything, only to leave behind a world that may never know her quiet heroism. But as rescuers lift her away, revealing the untouched eggs beneath, we're left to wonder, was her sacrifice in vain, or did it spark a miracle amid the ashes? This poignant story explores the raw, tear-jerking depths of selfless love, reminding us how fragile life is, and how far one will go to protect the innocent. The mother duck hadn't always been alone. Just weeks before, she'd nested with her mate near the quiet pond, where they glided together through golden sunsets, their reflections dancing on the water's surface. But he never returned from his morning flight, taken by a hawk that circled their territory daily. Now she carried not just eggs, but the weight of protecting their legacy alone. Her deepest fear wasn't death itself, it was failing them. Every rustle in the grass made her feathers stand on end. Every shadow passing overhead sent her heart racing. She'd chosen this nesting spot beneath the old willow, hidden from predators, but dangerously close to the dry grasslands. It was a calculated risk, one she second-guessed every day as the summer heat intensified and the grasses turned from green to golden brown. What no one could see was her quiet ritual each dawn. She'd count the eggs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then gently turn each one, whispering soft coos as if they could already hear her, as if love alone could will them into existence. She had 21 days when she started. Now, with only 3 days left before they'd hatch, she felt both hope and dread intertwining like vines around her chest. So close. They were so close. It started with smoke on the horizon, a thin gray ribbon that most animals dismissed as distant and harmless. But the mother duck's instincts screamed differently. The wind had shifted, carrying with it the acrid scent of burning wood and grass. She watched as deer bounded past her willow tree, as rabbits scattered in panicked zigzags, as even the usually stubborn groundhog abandoned his burrow. Every fiber of her being screamed, "Run. Fly. Save yourself." But beneath her, those 5 perfect eggs lay warm and fragile. 3 more days. Just 3 more days, and they'd be strong enough to survive without her constant heat. If she left now, they'd cool within an hour. They'd never hatch. Her babies would die silent deaths, their tiny hearts stopping before they ever knew the world. The flames crested the hill, a furious orange wave devouring everything in its path. Animals fled in every direction, their survival instincts overriding everything else. The duck's wings twitched. She could fly, join them, live to nest another season. Instead, she spread her wings wider over her clutch, lowered her body closer, and made a choice that would define her final moments. Not without them. Never without them. The heat came in waves, each one more suffocating than the last. The mother duck pressed herself flatter against the eggs, tucking her beak beneath her wing as smoke filled her lungs. The willow tree above her caught fire first, its ancient branches crackling and popping like bones breaking. Burning leaves rained down, each one a tiny brand against her back. Her body begged her to move. Pain seared through her wings as embers landed on her feathers, the smell of burning flesh mixing with smoke. She couldn't stop the desperate, strangled sounds escaping her throat. Not quite quacks, but something rawer, more primal. The sound of a mother refusing to surrender. Through the thickening smoke, she felt the eggs beneath her, still intact, still warm from her body, rather than the inferno surrounding them. That's all that mattered. Each breath became a battle. her lungs burning, her vision dimming, her strength fading. The fire surrounded her completely now, a roaring circle of destruction. The pond she'd loved, where she'd taught herself to dive deeper for fish, where she'd first met her mate. It was too far. Unreachable. Another life entirely. Her world had shrunk to this. 5 eggs, her scorched body, and a love so fierce it transcended every instinct for self-preservation. Just hold on, she thought desperately. Just a little longer. When the flames finally passed, leaving behind a hellscape of ash and smoldering earth, firefighter Ethan arrived with his crew to survey the damage. He'd seen terrible things in his 15 years on the job, but the silence of a burned field always haunted him. The absence of birdsong, of rustling grass, of life itself. Then he saw her. A small, charred form beneath the skeletal remains of the willow tree. Wings still spread in a protective arc. "Oh no," he whispered, kneeling beside her. The duck's feathers were burned away, her body reduced to something almost unrecognizable. He'd seen animals caught in fires before. They always ran, always tried to escape. But this one had stayed. With trembling hands, Ethan gently lifted her body and froze. Beneath her, nestled in a small pocket of unburned grass, sat 5 perfect eggs, completely intact, untouched by the flames that had consumed everything else. The mother's body had created a barrier, absorbing the heat, the smoke, the fire itself. She'd turned herself into a living shield. But that wasn't what made Ethan's breath catch. As he stared at those eggs, one of them moved. A hairline crack appeared along its surface. Then another egg shook gently. They were hatching. Right now, in this moment, surrounded by devastation but protected by a sacrifice so profound it defied comprehension. The mother duck hadn't died in vain. She died in victory, her body cooling just as her babies were finally strong enough to survive without her warmth. She'd held on for exactly as long as they needed, not a moment less. But Ethan's hope shattered within moments. The eggs were hatching. But into what? The air was still thick with toxic smoke. The pond had evaporated in the heat, leaving only cracked mud. There was no food, no water, no shelter. Even if these ducklings emerged alive, they'd be orphaned in a wasteland that couldn't sustain them for even a day. He radioed his team, desperation cracking his voice. "I need wildlife rescue at the willow tree. Now." The response made his heart sink. The nearest rehabilitation center was 2 hours away, already overwhelmed with injured animals. They couldn't send anyone. Ethan looked down at the eggs, now cracking more urgently. The ducklings inside were peeping, soft, trusting sounds that cut through him like glass. Their mother had endured unimaginable agony to give them life. And for what? To starve or suffocate in the ruins she'd protected them from. He'd seen death before, but this felt crueler somehow. The mother's sacrifice was so complete, so absolute. And it might not matter. Nature didn't guarantee happy endings. Sometimes love wasn't enough, and heroes died for nothing. As the first tiny beak broke through its shell, Ethan felt tears sting his eyes. He was watching a miracle and a tragedy unfold simultaneously, powerless to change the outcome. Then Ethan remembered something his grandmother once told him. When someone gives everything, you honor that by giving something too. He couldn't let this mother's sacrifice be meaningless. He wouldn't. Pulling off his heavy jacket, Ethan created a makeshift nest, carefully transferring each egg into the warm fabric. The first duckling emerged fully, wet, wobbly, impossibly fragile, and immediately began calling for its mother. The sound nearly broke him. "I've got you," Ethan whispered, cupping his hands around the tiny creature. "I promise I've got you." He called his wife, Hannah, a veterinary technician. "I need you to prepare the garage. Warmth, water, everything. I'm bringing home 5 ducklings." Her response came without hesitation. "I'm ready." As the second and third ducklings hatched, Ethan made a decision that went beyond duty. This wasn't just rescue anymore. It was a vow. The mother duck had taught him something profound in her death. That love means staying when everything tells you to run. That sacrifice creates ripples beyond what we can see. If she could give everything for them, he could give something too. These babies would live. They'd grow strong. They'd know the pond and the sky their mother never got to show them. Her story wouldn't end in ash. It would continue through them. The next 3 weeks became Ethan's mission. He and Hannah transformed their garage into a sanctuary, complete with heat lamps, a kiddie pool, and carefully researched duckling nutrition. Those 5 tiny survivors, whom they named Hope, Ember, ash, phoenix, and willow, thrived against all odds. Ethan visited the burned field daily, documenting its slow recovery. He collected the mother duck's remains and arranged for a proper burial beneath where the willow once stood. It seemed important, somehow, that she rest where she'd made her stand. But the real miracle came when Ethan shared the story online. Within days, the post went viral. Millions of people moved to tears by the mother duck's sacrifice. Donations poured into wildlife rehabilitation centers. Firefighters across the country began carrying emergency kits for injured animals. The mother's story sparked something, a movement of compassion. Local schools requested to meet the ducklings, and Ethan realized these 5 little lives had become ambassadors for all the silent heroes in nature. The parents who sacrifice everything, the creatures who love as fiercely as any human. When the ducklings were finally strong enough, Ethan took them to a protected pond far from fire danger. As he released them into the water, watching them paddle together in a tight formation, he saw something that made his throat tighten. They moved as one, instinctively protective of each other, just as their mother had been protective of them. Her legacy wasn't just survival. It was love teaching love, sacrifice inspiring sacrifice, courage breeding courage. 6 months later, Ethan returned to the willow site. Spring had worked its magic. Green shoots pushed through the ash, wildflowers dotted the recovered field, and new life hummed everywhere. The pond had refilled with winter rains, and he'd heard reports of ducks nesting nearby. He'd brought a small stone marker engraved with simple words. Here stood a mother. Here began a miracle. As he placed it in the ground, Ethan heard a familiar sound, the soft quacking of ducks. He looked up to see 5 young ducks gliding across the pond, now fully grown and magnificent. He couldn't be certain they were his ducklings, but something in the way they moved together, the way they seemed to be thriving as a united family, made him believe. The mother duck never knew if her sacrifice would matter. She simply loved completely, in the only way she knew how. By staying when she could have left, by enduring what seemed unendurable, by choosing them over herself in every moment that mattered. Her story reminds us that love isn't always rewarded immediately, that sacrifice doesn't always come with guarantees, but that choosing to protect what's precious, even at great cost, creates ripples that extend far beyond what we can see. Sometimes the greatest acts of heroism happen in silence, witnessed by no one, celebrated by none. But they matter. They always matter. And somewhere, in the gentle lapping of pond water and the soft calls of ducks at dawn, her legacy continues. 5 lives that should have been lost, now thriving, now creating families of their own, carrying forward the fierce, unbreakable love of a mother who gave everything so they could have anything at all.